Okay, good morning. We are going to, I'm going to walk you through my get started, up and running, or step-by-step guide for a solopreneur who is trying to get a website built and they want to do it themselves and they don't want to take all the time to figure out how to do it themselves. So this is going to give you a checklist of sorts, get you up and running fast, and don't need to hire a web designer, web developer, anybody off of Fiverr, any of that. You just come to this list, follow step by step, and we will go through everything. Okay, so start here. This is just a short little introduction up here. And it goes through next domain. So everybody needs a domain. Whether you're using a free service like WordPress.com or Wix, their free service, you have to have a web domain. The caveat with that is if you're doing a free service, it's going to be whatever domain name you choose plus Wix.com. Wix will always be in the name. If you're doing WordPress.com, WordPress will always be in the name. You pay a small fee, you get on one of their monthly plans, then you can use your own domain. So if you're going to use your own domain, you need to buy a domain. So here we go, domains. It's a short little introduction about what a domain is, why you need it, how it works. And then underneath here, where to buy. Option 1, 2, and 3. Namecheap. I use Namecheap for everything, and I always recommend Namecheap to everybody because it is just really dead simple to use. Their dashboard is simple, so if you need to set up your DNS, super simple, and there's instructions, and they also have pretty good customer care. I've had to use it once or twice. I can remember once for sure, and they helped me set up an email. They also have email there as well, and you can buy it, pay for email, or they have something what's called a catch-all. Catch-all, basically, it's your domain, and whatever anybody writes in there. So if they write your domain at yourdomain.com, it's going to come to whatever email box you set it up to. So for example, if you have a free Gmail account, you do a catch-all, have everything be forwarded to your Gmail account, free Gmail account. So you could do your name at yourdomain.com, info, questions, whatever it is, it all goes there. So pretty good. Next one is domain.com. I personally never used it. Reviews are pretty good on it. I may do a walkthrough video and just kind of experiment and see how it goes, and I'll include that in here. Next one is buydomains.com. Buydomains.com is for buying premium domains. Premium domains are domains that are already owned. Somebody owns it, it's registered, and they are reselling them. It does come at a cost. And I've seen domains going for thousands of dollars. I've seen domains for $10,000, $12,000, no joke. And the reason why they're so expensive is because they're easily brandable, they're short, and they just have some value, whatever it is. So if there's something that, if you got the budget for it and you want something very specific and it's already been registered, this is a place to check for that. And then down here I go into how much you should pay, how to connect it to your host, your website. And this is where having an easy to follow interface is really going to matter. And that's why I like Namecheap so much. Setting up the DNS settings, dead simple. And if you do have a premium email account, such as G Suite, it's just one button. So you set up your G Suite account, come over here, one button, and you're done. And it's already been automated into the they've created an automated feature. Boom, you're done. www or no www, it doesn't matter. Really, at this point, it doesn't matter. I have some websites that have the www, others don't. The key here is that whichever one you have, the one you don't have gets redirected. So if you don't have www, somebody types in www, come into your website, it automatically gets redirected to whatever your domain name is anyway. So again, doesn't matter. .com, .co, .net, .org. Keeps going. I mean, the list seems to be growing every day. There's more options on that one. Again, if you can get .com, go for it. If you're running like a nonprofit organization, I would recommend the .org. Just seems to be common practice. And if you're running an education organization, your business is in education, having .edu might be the way to go. If you're just, any other kind of business, try to get .com if you can. Okay, next, host. where's your website going to live? If you're doing a self-hosted website, if you're using something like WordPress, or if you're just building a website from scratch, if you're writing the HTML, if you're watching this video, if you're using this spreadsheet that I'm creating for you, you're not writing your own HTML. You're not programming your own website. You're going to be using something like WordPress. And if you're using something like Squarespace, they host a website for you. If you're using Wix, they host a website for you. You can skip over this section altogether. But if you're doing WordPress, if you're downloading the software, if you're creating your website from scratch using WordPress, then you're going to need to get a host. I've listed here, what I got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I got 6 different hosting services. SiteGround, Bluehost, Flywheel. The website address is Get Flywheel, but the name of the company is Flywheel. Then you have A2 Hosting, InMotion Hosting, and WP Engine. I've personally used SiteGround. I have used Bluehost. I have used InMotion Hosting. I have not used Flywheel. I have not used WP Engine, but the reason why they're on here is because they're 2 very highly rated hosting services. WP Engine seems to really be way up there as far as customer satisfaction and performance, but you also pay for it. So you're going to pay a little more for something like that. Someone like SiteGround, you could get in on shared hosting for as little as $3 a month, $3.99 a month, I think is what they're at right now. It changes. Thing to keep in mind with that, though, is when you see $3.99 a month, you're going to have to pay for a year to get that price. And then once your year is up, that $3.99 is going to go up to, I forget what it is right now. And again, that changes. I think the $3.99 one website is going to go up to something like $10 a month for shared hosting, or $8.99 a month for shared hosting. So just keep that in mind. But good customer service, and let's see, we got 24-hour support. Yeah, it's good. I've used them. I've had really good luck with them. Bluehost is one of the big players in the market. You get a lot of features. They use what's called a cPanel. It can be pretty confusing, but you're just gonna have to learn how to use some of the basic features in there, setting up, installing WordPress. And that's another thing about all of these services here. If you're using SiteGround, if you're using A2 Hosting, once you set up your account, there's a feature there. You just click WordPress, and it installs WordPress on the server automatically, and you're good to go. You're going to have to set up your DNS on there. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. I'll probably do a video on showing you how to do that. So that's hosting. Email can get a little complicated. Depending on how you go about it. If you use G Suite is a premium service. You're going to start at $6 a month for one email address. You need to have a domain. So what you do is you buy your domain, and then you host your email at G Suite. And it's, like I said, $6 a month. Zoho Mail, same thing. Office 365, Fastmail, all of these services basically work the same, coming in at different prices. Zoho Mail you can get for as little as $1 a month for your one email address. One of the key features, one of the key benefits of using G Suite is that you get the whole suite, G Suite. So you get the Google Drive, you get additional storage. So if you have a free Gmail account at this point, you do have access to the calendar. You have access to you can store things on the Google Drive. So it's like a cloud server. And I think you get 15 gigabytes on the free one. For your G Suite, $6 a month. I think it doubles that up to 30 gigabytes. You can store 30 gigabytes of files on the drive. You also get access to Sheets, Docs, and the whole. I mean, you gotta go in there and look for it yourself. There's all of these titles are links. Just click on the link. It'll take you, and you can get a lot more information. What's next? Okay, so that's email. If you use something like SiteGround, SiteGround offers email. I believe the other ones do too. I'm not really sure. You'd have to go on. Get Flywheel. Flywheel does not have email. So if you go with them, you're not going to get email. Bluehost, SiteGround, I think they give you unlimited email. So it's all hosted. So your email and your website is hosted at the same place for the same price. WP Engine, again, InMotion Hosting has email. That I know because I've used InMotion Hosting. and I had set up email in there too. Pros and cons, um, not many. You know, you're just getting emails, so you're not going to get G Suite. You're not going to get storage or anything like that. So it's just an email address, and you can set up an email client, so you could use whatever you use. Like for example, on the Mac, you have their mail server, a mail service that comes with the operating system. I believe Windows has a similar thing, so you can connect it to that, get your email there. Or if you're using a free email service like Gmail, Yahoo, whatever the other ones are, Hotmail, you could have it forwarded to that service as well. So one place, check all your emails. Okay, so that's email. Now, talking about WordPress. I use WordPress. I will probably never use anything other than WordPress in the foreseeable future. I don't know what's going to come up. WordPress it's gigantic. Everybody, I mean, I think 30% of the websites, professional websites online right now, are using WordPress. There is a huge, I mean, it's just unbelievable that the community surrounding WordPress. You can go from your super basic website, just a blog, landing page, picture, image, whatever you want, or you could expand this out to an online e-commerce store. You could sell things, and what's great about it is WordPress is just the foundation, and then you could add on to it. So if you wanted, you know, go on to doing a store, you could add on a feature. It's called WooCommerce, and you can build out a whole shopping experience. Make it, I mean, make it look exactly like Amazon if you want to. You can do whatever you want. So, and also the support community is just endless. There's endless Facebook groups out there if you need help. There's endless chat groups out there if you need help. I mean, there's no challenge I have ever come up against in WordPress that I have not been able to find an answer to. And it's just super expandable. The great thing about WordPress is that it's free. It's open source. That means that there's a worldwide global network of developers that are constantly contributing and improving WordPress every day. So what you do is you download the software. If you want to develop on your own hard drive, Flywheel actually has a virtual server that you install onto your computer called Local, and you can develop a WordPress website right on your computer and then upload it to a server. Or if you're using something like SiteGround, InMotion Hosting, A2, all of them, what you do is you just click install, and they install the latest version of WordPress onto the server, and you start developing from there. Let's see, get this to go away. Okay, now other options out there that are quicker, probably easier to learn, those shorter learning curve, is Wix. I'm sure everybody's heard of Wix by now. They're probably pretty well known. Wix, nice thing about Wix is that it's a one-stop shop. You can get free Wix websites, and the downside to having I don't know if it's a downside, that's up to you to decide, but if you go for the free, you have very limited access to their features. So it's just basically a website, blog, you know, landing page, your image, whatever it is. And then, but your domain would be whatever domain name you choose, and then it will be .wix.com. So Wix will always be in the title if you go for the free version. WordPress has something similar to this, and it's WordPress.com. So there's two WordPresses: WordPress.org, which is the software that you download onto your server and build, and then there's WordPress.com, which is a hosted website that you use their server. It's a cloud-based website builder. You go there, and again, free version, whatever domain you want to choose, and that's going to be .wordpress.com. So with Wix, it's the same thing. And another downside to that, well, yeah, the other downside to that is your website has to be on the Wix server. You can't take a Wix, so if you decide you don't want to go with Wix anymore, maybe the prices increase, if you're using a paid plan, you want to go somewhere else, you can't. You can't take the website with you. You would have to rebuild the website on a different server. So that's one thing. And then they have different tiers going all the way up. So you can pay, I think, as little as, do I have that in here somewhere, the price? No, I don't have the price on here. But again, this is a link right here. You could go to the Wix website and it will tell you what their prices are. And they have, I think, 3 different tiers. Cheapest one, I think, is something like $8 a month or $10 a month, something like that. And the number one thing you get from that, or the main thing you get from that, is your domain. So you have to buy a domain. Domains cost about $9 a month, $9 for the year. So now you have your own domain. Oh, and one of the other things about the free plan on Wix is you're going to get a little banner across the top. That's an advertisement for Wix. So nothing is totally free. So it's free, you don't have to pay any money, but it's not free, and that Wix is advertising on your website. Okay, next one up is Squarespace. Squarespace is similar to Wix. Again, the website lives on the Squarespace server. You can't take it with you. I don't know if Squarespace has a free option. We can go check that out real quick while we're here. And yeah, I don't think they have a free option. It's taking a second to load here. Products, these are all the different things. Squarespace is pretty, you can get pretty crazy with your designs on this one. I believe they have a huge library. I've never built a Squarespace website from scratch. I have worked on some Squarespace websites. Pretty easy to learn, pretty easy to get started with, and they have all these different kinds of templates you could get started. And I've also heard from professional SEOs that you could get your website ranking pretty good with a Squarespace website. I've heard mixed reviews on Wix. Depends on how you do your SEO. It's a couple of different ways to do SEO. But Wix I've heard has some challenges as far as the Google bots, the Google spiders crawling it, because they're pretty heavy with the JavaScript. JavaScript is not easily crawled, if at all. I'm not even sure if you can crawl it at all with the Google bots. Squarespace, I think, has something different. Squarespace is good. If you're familiar with Joe Rogan's website is built on Squarespace. All right, next up, Shopify. Shopify is a specialized service for building out online stores. You can plan start at $29 a month, and they go up to $299 depending on your needs. Again, check it out. Check out your plans right here. Included a link here for you. And again, it's pretty specialized, so I have never used Shopify. The only thing I've ever done with that is that one of the cool things is that if you build your website in WordPress and you want to build for whatever reason, if you like Shopify and you want to connect your shopping cart to your WordPress website, it's pretty easily done. Shopify, you're going to have some challenges as far as customizing the designs. I'm not really sure about their blogging ability, but it's really good if you're just selling products. Okay, so that's it. So we got Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, and WordPress. Next, SEO. SEO. Now, SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Now, SEO is a huge topic. We're not going to get much into it right now, but just to let you know, there's two main ways, or two main pillars of SEO. First, you have optimizing your website itself, making it crawlable by the Google bots, and yes, Yahoo, and yes, Google, WordPress. Microsoft's Bing search engine. But let's be honest, Google is where you want to be. Google is the big one, and if you get it right for Google, the rest will just fall into place. So what you need to do is make sure that your website is built in a way that it makes it super easy for the Google bots and the spiders to crawl your website, index the pages, and be able to determine what your website is about. Now, that in itself is one topic, and we could spend weeks, months, years just talking about that. So the key thing to understand is that your website needs to be fast. Let's go back to hosting real quick on that one. And the reason why going with WordPress and building your website on your own server is, in my opinion, it's just an opinion, better, because you have more control. You get yourself a really good host, optimize your website. Your website's going to load fast. If you're using something like Wix, Squarespace, or Shopify, like I mentioned, you're on their server. There's not really a whole lot of options you have with that, so you're kind of at their mercy. So there you go. So hosting, there's another reason why WordPress and self-hosted websites, because you have control over that. And there's different levels of hosting. So if you go with a shared server, you're going to be at the lowest tier, cheapest, slowest But you could go up to a virtual private server, VPS, and those are faster because it's your own little corner of a server. Or you could get your own personal private server. That's going to be the most expensive, but it's also going to give you the fastest website. And again, you got to weigh what your needs are. All right, so that's the on-page SEO. So you want to have a fast website. Just touched on a little bit of what makes a website fast. What also makes a website fast is making sure your images are optimized. It all comes down to optimization. So make sure your images are optimized. So in other words, you have to be thoughtful about how you put your images on your website. You can't just grab an image and throw it on there. You got to make sure it's the proper size. So if you're using, so for example, if the image on your web page is a small image, like maybe a portrait image of somebody, that's giving you a testimonial, you want to put a picture of them on there, or maybe it's on your about page and it's your portrait and you want to show a little picture of you. That image is if that image is appearing on your website small, you don't want to upload a gigantic image and then squeeze it down. That's going to affect the speed performance of your website. So what you want to do is make sure you optimize that image before you get it onto your website. So you take it into a program like Photoshop, or there's a couple of web-based graphics services out there. I think Canva is one. There's a bunch. You can find one. And I'll probably include a page on here at some point with some links and information to that. So if your image is going to appear at 300 pixels by 300 pixels, make sure your image is 300 pixels by 300 pixels before you upload it to your website. Don't make the server resize an image. Make sure it's the right file format, JPEG, PNG, things like that. So that's going to affect the performance. So that's one. The other thing is, once you get that image on there, there's something called alt tags. And this is not information that your visitor is going to see. This is information that the Google bots are going to see. So if they go and they see an image and there's a name, an alt tag is what it's called. If there's a name associated with that image, then it makes it easier for Google to index that. You can put a keyword in there. So for example, if your website, if you're selling plastic cups, just an example I pulled out of the air, happens to be a plastic cup sitting on my desk. So anyway, you could put your alt tag on there, green plastic cups. So now if somebody goes to the internet and they're searching green plastic cups, you're gonna, there's a shot that you're gonna rank. Certainly a better shot than if you don't have anything on there. For example, I had a website I put together just as a test to see if it would work for electricians. And I made sure all of my images were optimized perfectly. I made sure all of my images had alt tags. And while the website itself, like if you typed in New Haven Electricians, the website didn't appear on the first page of Google, but all of my images did. There's like a little section at the bottom of the Google page and it'll show you selected images, or if you click on the image tab up at the top, I had like 4 or 5 images ranking in the #1 position within 2 weeks. I don't even think it took 2 weeks. I think it was 8 days, 9 days. And so let's not overlook optimizing images. So it could give you a big boost in your search engine results. So that's on-page SEO. Off-page SEO. Again, we could probably speak for years about this. There's so many different ways to get traffic to your website, whether you're paying for it, which that's up to you if you got the budget for it. But if you're trying to get organic search, there's other ways to do it. It's content, writing content, making sure that your content is relevant, making sure your content is well written, and is going to give your client or your prospect the information they're looking for. So if they go onto Google, and you somehow manage to rank and they click on your link and there's nothing there for them, they're going to leave, and that's going to affect your SEO also. Lots of different things on there. Now, if you're using WordPress, there's a couple of plugins that can help you optimize your pages. SEO Press and Yoast are 2 of the big ones out there. There's a couple of others. I'm in the process of putting some more in here. I'm doing some research right now. I've used both of these. I currently use SEO Press. Basically what this does is you install the plugin into your WordPress website, and when you're creating a page or a post, there's going to be a section at the bottom that it's basically like a checklist. You go through the checklist, making sure that your meta tags are right, making sure your title tags are right. It's checking your meta descriptions. Meta descriptions are what you see if you type into, do a search on Google. You see the name of a website, and then below it there's a short little excerpt of what that website's about or what that page is about, that post is about. So there is an optimal length of that also. I can't remember off the top of my head what the number is, but it'll tell you if you're over or under. You can type in the keyword that you're trying to search for, that you're trying to rank for, and it's going to give you a list. It's like, yes, your keyword is appearing in your H1 tag, your H2 tag, it's appearing in your body copy, and it'll even give you a color code, red, green, yellow. And so if you can use that to just optimize your page, making sure you're checking off all these things, SEO press in itself is not going to make your website rank. But if you follow the checklist and follow all the recommendations, then it's going to improve your chances of ranking. Okay, Yoast pretty much does the same thing. Yoast has a great website as well. They offer a lot of classes, a lot of tutorials, some paid for, some free. Their blog is exceptional. I mean, there's a lot of money going into developing this website. The Yoast plugin itself, both of these offer free and paid versions. I'm using the paid version of SEO Press. I think it's $39 a year. You could get by with just the free version. The paid version is just giving you obviously it's going to be a little more. Why else would they ask you to pay for it, right? All right, and Yoast has the same thing. Yoast, though, has a different pricing structure. You're going to end up paying a lot more for Yoast in the long run. All right, let's see, privacy policy. Again, privacy policy is something overlooked by a lot of people, a lot of websites, but you got to have it, especially if you're working in the European Union, if you're working in England, and in the United States, it's state by state. California seems to have the most strict, or the strictest, the most strict privacy laws. You got to have it. And just throwing one up there and forgetting about it is not good enough. It's because as the laws changes, your privacy policy has to change as well with the law. I use a service called Termageddon. It's $10 a month, $100 a year if you buy it for the year, and it is a dynamic privacy policy, terms and conditions. What else is on there? Yeah, privacy policy and terms and conditions, and there's one more, I forget what it is, but I don't use it. But I use privacy policy, I use terms and conditions. And what it is that you go to their website, you sign up for their service, you answer a couple of questions about your website, about your business, about what kind of data or information you're collecting from your clients, and it automatically generates a privacy policy for you. And the best part about it is that it's dynamic. You put it onto your privacy policy page, and as the laws change and the privacy policies need to get updated, you don't have to do a thing. It's dynamic. It's done automatically for you. And the great thing about it is, here, let me show you real quick on my website, on my privacy page, is that, let it load. Okay, privacy policy, last updated April 22nd, 2020 at 11:54 at 37 seconds. And I didn't do a thing. But so this is the last time it was updated. Next time it's updated, I'll come back here and I'll see whatever the next date is. And all of this stuff is done automatically for me. And it is a privacy policy written, maintained, and managed by lawyers. It's not, there's no gimmick to it, and it works. And if you want to save a little bit of money, I do have an affiliate link. You just click on this, it'll save you 10% off your first year, and that's it. So there you go, privacy policy. Now we go into a little bit, I haven't filled this stuff out yet, but we got landing page, difference between a landing page and a website. Google Analytics, this is going to be key for you to, once you have your website up and running and you're starting to get traffic to your website, Google Analytics is going to help you to analyze that traffic. Where is it coming from? What pages are they going to? How long are they staying on the pages? If you're doing ads, if you're doing, you could test action. So, for example, if your call to action is you want somebody to fill out a form, what you do is you could put a tag on your thank you page. So when they fill out your form, they're automatically redirected to your thank you page. Now Google Analytics will note that, and you can have that set out on a little a separate little feature of Google Analytics, so you can see how many people are going to your thank you page. And why that matters is that if they make it to your thank you page, that means they filled out your form. So now you know your form is working. But if you see people go to your page and they don't end up on the thank you page, they're not filling out your form. Now you know to fix that page, optimize that page, change that page, try to figure out what it is. Maybe it's the copy, maybe it's the images, maybe it's the it's not obvious that you know they want to fill out that form. Google My Business is another key feature for SEO. Google My Business, if you don't know what it is you get it free, you get it as part of your Google account. So if you're using the free version, even if, or if you're using the G Suite, you get a Google My Business page. Google My Business is going to let Google know that you're in business. If you have an address, you can verify your address. You fill it out. They'll send you a little postcard with a number on it, and then you can verify your address. Now your business will be featured on the maps. You can start throwing pictures on there, so when people do a Google search, they see the map. Almost all Google searches now, you'll see, depending on what you're searching for. If you're searching for a business, you'll get a little map off on the right hand side with flags of all those different businesses that are associated with that search. You can get your business on there. So if you have a local service or a local store that you want people to come to see, that'll show up there, and then you get a list of all the different connected businesses to those flags on the map. Put pictures of your store on there, like I said. Then you can also get people to review your store, and this is key, and this is going to get you to rank higher on Google also. With this electrician website that I mentioned earlier, I think that was a big part of why I was ranking, because I ranked #1 on the maps also. I had a good Google My Business page, filled out all the different things. You put your different services on your Google My Business. It's almost like having a website, because you're putting your services, you're putting your hours, your hours of operation, when you open, when you close. But the key is the reviews, and you can get people to your Google My Business page to leave you a review. It's like Yelp or whatever the other ones are out there. And the key to that, though, is you got to respond to your reviews. It's one thing to get the review, but you got to respond to your review, and you got to respond to it quickly. So you can get an app on your phone so you can see when you get reviews, and you can respond, even if it's just saying thank you for the review. But another key thing is that if you get a bad review, now I know a lot of people are like, well, bad reviews, that sucks. And yeah, bad reviews, nobody wants a bad review. But if you get a bad review, you don't want to ignore it. You want to address it. So if it's a legitimate, or even if it's illegitimate, or not legitimate, respond to it. Say, somebody leaves you a bad review, say, hey, I'm sorry your experience wasn't as good as it could have been. I'm happy to help solve this problem, or happy to improve your experience with us. But the key is respond, good or bad. Okay, so that's Google My Business. I'll fill this page out a lot more, and I'll go into more detail about Google My Business and show you exactly how to optimize it. Sales funnels. This is something that I haven't gotten into yet, on here. But I'll explain what a sales funnel is. But basically, a sales funnel is just walking somebody through the sales process. So in the top of the sales funnel, you have brand awareness. I'm looking at my whiteboard over here. I have a diagram of the sales funnel. So you want to, so the top of the sales funnel, basically it's, depending on where somebody is in your funnel, you want to be able to talk to them at that level. So if somebody doesn't even really know what your service is yet, you don't want to be trying to sell them a product, because they don't know who you are. They're not going to buy. So if somebody says, buy this pen, it's $4, but they don't know they need a pen. They don't even know what a pen is used. Obviously, I know it's an example. A pen is a pen, but bear with me here for a second. If they don't know what a pen is, they don't know what problem this pen solves, trying to sell them this pen right off the top of the bat, $4.99, buy this pen, it's going to solve your problem. Well, they don't know what their problem is yet. So the top of the sales funnel is making them be aware of the problem. And then as they get lower into the funnel, you start talking about the different pen options that are out there to solve the problem. And then as they get lower in the funnel, you start talking about the different brands, different, the costs of things like that. And then at the bottom, it's like, this pen is going to solve all of those problems that we talked about earlier in this funnel. You want to buy this pen? Here you go, $4.99. That's a sales funnel, but I'll go into that in a little more depth. So once you get through all of this probably should be a little bit closer up in the list here, but a website checklist. What I'm providing in this checklist here is like, once you have designed your website, once you're ready to go, you want to go through this and make sure that you have addressed all of the different issues that are necessary to get your website. Make sure your website is running properly. So I got one checklist here, got another checklist here, and another checklist here. I'm going to edit these things as in the next couple of days to make sure that these are a little bit more. I'm going to combine it all into one checklist to make sure that this thing is a little more to the point. But basically, it goes over like, are all of your alt tags on your images? Are your images optimized? Have you done a spell check on your website? Have you checked for broken links? Because a lot of times when you're building a website, you might create a page, and then something changes as you're developing the website. That page no longer exists, and if you got links anywhere else on the website that went to that page that you've now abandoned, are now broken links. That's not good for Google. You want to get rid of those broken links, either by just eliminating the link altogether, or doing a redirect. A redirect is if a website of a web page no longer exists, but there's links out there that you have no control over anymore because maybe they've been emailed to somebody. If they click on that link, a redirect will automatically, as the title says, redirect them to the new page, the new link, and that happens behind the scenes. Nobody knows about that but you. But again, there's ways to check all that stuff. Let's see what else on my website list. Okay, so if you make sure your social icons are in place and they're properly linked to your social accounts, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is that you're using. The list just goes on and on and on and on. It's a pretty extensive list here, but like I said, I'm going to try to pare this down a little bit to just the basics that you absolutely need. And that's it, so with this list here, you should be able to go tab by tab by tab, ultimately to the checklist. And if you follow all of this, you should be able to get a website up and running, no problem, at the least amount of money, at the most economical way possible, depending on your needs. But that's the key. What do you need? What's the bare minimum? What's your minimal viable product? What's the bare minimum you need to get started? And then you can always grow from there. And that's what I love about WordPress, is that you can start off with the bare minimum, and there's no limit to how far you can grow with it. I'm not getting paid by WordPress, by the way. It's just how I feel. I've been working almost 4 years now with WordPress, and like I said, I have never met a challenge I couldn't solve with WordPress. All right, so I'm going to end it here, but any questions? I'm here to answer any questions you got. And once this thing is, and as like I said, I'm going to be updating this as we go along, and within the next week or so, this thing should be ready for the wild. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good one.